Hello, welcome to the Mr. Jurgensen Show. This episode is for my U.S. history class because we have a test tomorrow. Now this test is unlike any other test that we've had in that there is no multiple choice, no matching. It is solely an essay test. Okay, there is only one essay question. And I've given it to you in class, and I've also emailed it out to your parents. And you should have had this essay question within like 2 days ago. So you've had plenty of time to research it on your own and in class, and we've talked about it a lot in class. The question is, how did the actions of our early presidents and conflicts between political parties shape our nation? Now, throughout these chapters, chapters 11, 12, and 13, we've talked a lot about foreign policy and early policy of our presidents. Use that knowledge to answer this question. Now, we've talked about several different ways to study for this test. And an essay test is unique. I mean, you have to do your research. You have to know the material. You can't just guess and pick B or C. I mean, you have to write it out. You have to be specific and detailed in your response. And one way to be more specific and detailed is studying your notes, looking at your textbook again. But remember, through my lectures, activities, projects, whatever we do in class, and discussions, I don't cover everything, every little thing about a historical topic. I mean, it's really impossible to cover, everything in our class. So I really encourage you to do a little bit of research on the internet and look up those topics and acquire further knowledge on them so you can be more specific and detailed in your response. The first part of the question, how did the actions of our early presidents shape our nation? Now, I believe I told each period that it would be good to start off with George Washington's farewell address. He has several policies during his presidency, and one was isolationism and neutrality. Isolationism and neutrality were key policies to the early success of our country because it kept us out of conflict. It kept us out of the world events that were occurring around us, like war between Great Britain and France, the French Revolution. And he encouraged future presidents to follow that sort of policy. Now, if you talk about that, give me examples of future presidents that practiced isolationism and neutrality. But also tell me presidents that kind of went outside the box, like James Madison. Okay, he declared war on Great Britain in 1812. Okay, the War of 1812. Talk about how that kind of went away from George Washington's policy and the effects of the War of 1812. I mean, that shapes our nation. After the victory at the Battle of New Orleans, Andrew Jackson becomes a hero. Later, the President of the United States. Our entire country is unified. And then it turns into the era of good feelings that we talked about in class, and that is in our book. And this was just a time period in which North and South, all those states were copacetic. I mean, they were happy. They were happy with one another, and it was just an era of good feelings. Tell me about that. All right. There are several examples of presidents that actually practice isolationism and neutrality, which John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, they both have great examples. Research those. Throw those in your essay. Be specific and detailed. The Monroe Doctrine is another example that we've discussed in class. The Monroe Doctrine is, remember, basically just a hands-off policy that was sent out to the European countries saying, you cannot interfere with these with South America, South and Central America. And basically it was like a hands-off policy, like stay away. Now this benefited us because we established trade with those South American countries. And later on, when you take more history classes in high school, you'll realize that we really did abuse those South American countries, and we exploited those countries, and we benefited from it. I mean, our economy thrived from that trade. A lot of natural resources in South America that we wanted and we got. But even though, in the long run, it's maybe not such a great thing, the Monroe Doctrine kind of paved the way for better trade with South America, and kind of established us as a world power, saying, the European countries cannot come over here, even though they kind of laughed at it. But that helped shape our nation. It did. I mean, it benefited us greatly. Now, the political parties and the division of those political parties and how it shaped our nation. Talk about Jefferson versus Hamilton. Remember, they had completely different views on human nature, the economy, government, everything. Tell me how that shaped our nation. Jefferson believed the ordinary person could become a politician and should run government because those are the people that government oversees. On the other hand, the Federalists, with Alexander Hamilton, they believed that the rich and the well-educated should oversee government because, in reality, the rich have control over the economy and therefore should be in charge of the government. That was Alexander Hamilton's basis on that, his ideals about that. Talk about how that created, a division throughout our early history as the United States of America. The election of 1800 and the creation of the 12th Amendment was established to prevent president and vice president from opposing parties to work with one another because it was so difficult to do that. A great example is John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. When John Adams was president, Jefferson was vice president, of course, because he was runner-up, remember? And it was difficult to really get anything done. Talk about that political division and be detailed about it. Make sure that you look over our notes on Jefferson and Hamilton, and you'll be fine, I'm sure. Now, I'm running out of time here because YouTube videos can only be 10 minutes long. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at my school email. It's bjurgensen@esu3.org. And I will check that periodically tonight if you have any questions for anything about the essay question. Now, I gave you all flashcards that you can write information down for the test, and I hope that you use that wisely. I will be checking those tomorrow before you take the test. But really, don't get worked up over this. Just study. You know your stuff. All you have to do now is take it from up here and put it on a piece of paper and be detailed about it. Alright? I wish you all the luck, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And have a good night. I hope everybody in track did awesome. I'm sure you guys did. But let me know tomorrow. I'm sure I'll hear about it tomorrow. Alright. Have a good night. See you later.